Great to have your company and great to have the Socceroos back in action. World Cup qualification resumes. Finally, over 500 days since the Socceroos' last fixture. That was an away game against Jordan. We're back this morning live on Fox Sports. Graham Arnold and his team in Kuwait to take on Kuwait in this little hub to get through the second round matches that are still to come before the real stuff and the third round, and presuming that we get 2 wins that we need going forth. And Kuwait is the first task this morning. Hello and welcome, Adam Peacock alongside Robbie Slater and Mark Bosnich. Good to be back with some international football, gents.
Very good. Good morning. Good morning to you, Robbie. Yeah, finally, like you just said, it's been a long wait, and really can't wait to actually see the boys play again.
A lot of thought and planning has gone into it, Robbie, because that's all Graham Arnold and his staff could do, think and plan over the last 18 months.
Yeah, well, finally they get back to the pitch and coaching the players, and that's what they've missed the most in the most difficult of circumstances, because while the pandemic has been great for us in respect to cases and the way it's enacted over the country, for football, international football, it's not great for us because we can't play games at home. So these ones were always going to be in the bubble, but it's what lies beyond after this first phase of qualifying, which is going to prove very, very difficult.
Yeah, we'll have a look, and Graham Arnold has selected 31 players for this camp with a view to building something for the next stage of qualifying. We'll have a look at the 11 he's chosen to start this game in a moment. Before that, though, let's rejig the memory, because we need to rejig the memory. We can't actually remember what happened in the first 4 games that the Socceroos played in this stage of qualifying, and it has been pretty comfortable, gents, so far. These games against, well, firstly this one away to Kuwait back in September 2019, where the world was a very different place. Got off to a really good start, and after that 3 pretty comfortable victories. Jordan was a close one, the last one.
Yeah, it was. Look, these games are more danger than anything else, because you really have got nothing to gain. You know, people who expect you to win and win well. If you happen to lose, the pressure's right on. I think the most important thing, number one, obviously, and this is international football over, is to get the 3 points. We know that. But number 2 is to get some type of cohesion going, because as Robbie will tell you, when it comes to international football, you get players coming from all around the world in various situations with their own club, and when they tend to meet up, you know, they could be in different moods, because if they're doing well for their club, they're usually in a good mood. If not, there's usually some issues. So it's very, very important. Like I said, number 1, 3 points, and then number 2, a little bit of team cohesion. And you know, we've got these games now in the hub. I would like us to win these 2 games ASAP, starting with this morning.
Yep, that's how it stands at the moment. Group B, Nepal, by the way, had a win over Chinese Taipei 2-0 hours ago. Australia just played the 4 matches, and the fixtures to come: Chinese Taipei on the 7th, Nepal on the 11th, and Jordan on the 15th, day after here in Australia, obviously overnight there in Kuwait, where it is 38 degrees right now.
Yes, it's quite warm. That's a little bit less than what it has been. You know, it's got up to 47, 48 degrees. So, but you look at that table and it's quite obvious. We need to win 2 out of the 4. I expect us to win all 4. But the 2 hardest games are going to be tonight's game and the last one, Jordan. So hopefully the equation will be done by then, because in between that, as you said, we do have Chinese Taipei and Nepal.
Let's have a look at the team that Graham Arnold has selected for this one then, and only 2 players not available for the squad as a whole. Apo Gianu picked up a bit of a knock in the training camp up in Dubai, and Trent Sainsbury, a bit of back tightness not needed for this one in the eyes of Graham Arnold. So Matt Ryan, we're hearing it's a 4-2-3-1. We'll wait and see with the formation what exactly transpires, but Matt Ryan in goal. Fran Karacic is making his debut. Now, he's born and bred in Croatia, has come through their system, but Australian parentage. He is elected to represent Australia at the highest level. He plays his football in Italy's 2nd division with Brescia. He moved there in January. He's got a steady run of games, Milos Degenek. And Ryan McGowan starts his first game for the Socceroos since the 2017 Confederations Cup as his Beige will play left back. The 2 holding midfielders, Jackson Irvine and James Holland, returns to the national team set up for the first time since 2014. Awa Mabil, Aidan Rustic, who's doing really good things in Germany, Matt Leckie up front. So those 2 actually were playing starting games for their respective Bundesliga clubs towards the end of the German First Division season. And Martin Boyle, who did his knee on the eve of the Asian Cup in 2019, he was a real omission there for Graham Arnold and his plans. He will start this one. Gents, both of your thoughts on that starting lineup?
Yeah, well, I think you mentioned the 4-2-3-1. We know that's Graham Arnold's favourite formation, and looking at those players, you got Mobile, you got Martin Boyle, Leckie play up top. It looks like it'll be a 4-2-3-1 as expected. And yeah, there's a lot of experience in that side. And I would say the squad over the 31 players, there's a lot of players. If you say where they're playing, it's pretty equal. So I think positions are up for grabs in respect to the second phase of qualifying. It's about who performs. When you get your chance, do you take your spot?
Yeah, the players not involved in the squad as a whole, that won't be, and there's 5 substitutes in these games, but the 3 windows like it is in the A-League at the moment. Curtis Good, Giano I mentioned, Curtis Good, Connor Metcalf, Andrew Redmayne, Nikita Rukavica, Trent Sainsbury, Brad Smith, Adam Taggart. They're the ones that we definitely won't see this morning. Everything else is up for deliberation.
Yeah, it is. I'm a little bit surprised Jamie McLaren hasn't started, but considering his form in the A-League. But other than that, like Robbie said, it's a familiar formation. The heat will be a factor, there's no doubt about that. The pace of play will be a lot slower, it'll have to be. And in terms of the way that Graham Arnold set his team out during these qualifiers, normally we've seen him play the 3 up front quite narrow, but it looks as that team, there'll be people out wide. If Leckie's up front, up top, that will make sure that the opposition defence drops off a little bit, which will give us room to play, before him. And I expect them to, like I said, to keep the majority of possession considering the heat.
Yeah, Matt Leckie, let's talk about him for now. He captained the side, Robbie, so a great honour for him, no doubt, in a World Cup qualifier. But just the 24 appearances over the last 2 league seasons with Hertha Berlin. The club narrowly avoided relegation, but as I mentioned, he started to get a run of games late on. There's rumours he's coming back to the A-League. I don't know what's happening there, but his role in this side, what Graham Arnold wants out of
fantastic,
a player like
amazing experience, and that's what he brings to this squad. And the key to what you were just saying is that he was getting games towards the back end, which is perfect running into these games. And look, it looked for a while that he was frozen out at Hertha, and there were big rumours that he was going to come back during this current A-League season. So, look, he stayed. Who knows what might happen with him? Who knows what his mindset is? Maybe he's just made up his mind he wants to come home. You do get to a point in your career, and I was certainly in that position a while ago now, but I was ready to come home, and I could have stayed my situation at Wolverhampton Wanderers at stage. But sometimes players, they've just had enough. They've been overseas a long time. They've made, probably a very, very good living, comfortable, and maybe he just wants to come home. But given that he got that run of games towards the end of the season, he might have kicked up interest from other places.
Hey, just one on Bozza, what you mentioned before about everyone coming back, and you said, sometimes your club form really dictates your mood when you initially get to camp. Well, on the flip side, I don't think anyone would have walked into camp feeling better about themselves than Kenny Dougal, who's on the bench and uncapped, and hopefully he gets his first cap tonight, because scoring 1 goal at Wembley is a childhood dream, but scoring 2 in a playoff final to get your side upper division is extraordinary.
Absolutely amazing, and congratulations to him. There's no doubt about that. What you just said, just to reiterate that, what you just said, but what a fantastic achievement. You're exactly right about that. And it's good for the camp as well, for the boys that are involved, that when somebody comes with that type of energy. But this was, like I said to you, really was fantastic. And great, you have to say, not only for the individual, but for Australian football as well. Playing at Wembley is always very, very special, and to do it and to do this in such a big game and to score those goals, that was something that will live with him forever.
Yeah, Blackpool, who were in the Premier League a decade ago, have fallen down, but they're going back up. They're in the Championship next season after that playoff victory, thanks to Kenny Dougal, who will now, hopefully, in about 2 hours' time, call a Socceroo as well. Kuwait. So let's check on the Kuwaitis, who are, pushing for this second spot. Now, this is really important because the best 4 teams go through to the next phase. Best 4 runners-up of the 8 groups go through. And there's a bit of a problem with one of the other groups. North Korea pulled out, so a few of the results are not counting, and it's all over the shop. Not so in this particular group. Kuwait and Jordan are battling for this particular second spot to get themselves up. A couple of players to look out for. Al Khaldi, the striker, 22-year-old, and Beda Al-Matwa, he'll come off the bench. He's played nearly 200 times for his country. And the coach is Andreas Carrasco, who is the assistant to Tony Popovic
at Western Sydney Wanderers. That's right.
So we remember his influence on Tony Popovic, who's Spanish-based, and out of the Barcelona Academy. He brought a lot of players through their academy over there. So he's a well-known man, especially when it comes to set pieces. We picked this one out. Brenton Speed actually picked this one out, and he's calling the game tonight. But he loves his set pieces and players going this, here, and everywhere, and that. We might see things like this at set pieces.
Yeah, why not?
Kuwait.
Well, set pieces like that is about one thing and two things really. The main thing, imagination. And then obviously the second thing is execution. But in terms of Kuwait, look, because of this break that everyone's had, and I think, this is why we've got to be very, very careful. We just don't take it as a given that we're going to win. They are in second place. Yes, we beat them in the first game, okay, but they would have had a lot of chance and opportunity to practice together, probably a lot more than the Socceroos have done.
Yeah, they've played 5 games so far this year already.
Yeah, so it's not going to be, it's not going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. That's why I think it's so important that we get off to a good start, because flip that around the other side. If they happen to score early because of the conditions, because of the heat, it could prove to be very, very difficult. Robbie always makes the point to me when we have games in the Middle East that we haven't got a particularly good record in the Middle East per se. So, like I said, we've just got to be a little bit wary of that.
Without a doubt. We're off to a break here live on Fox Sports. The Socceroos return to pitch in the not-too-distant future. A matter of minutes now, back in a moment with more with our preview before kick-off in about 20 minutes' time. Welcome back. Still 38 degrees in Kuwait, even though the sun's well gone. You don't need much of a warm-up, but the Socceroos are doing just that at the moment in final preparations before this World Cup qualifier against Kuwait. Here's the boss, Socceroos coach, Graham Arnold.
Graham Arnold, after 567 days, the Socceroos are back. What are you expecting from your squad tonight?
Yeah, look, we've had a great week together. We had some great training sessions, and I expect a great performance.
Your starting 11's primarily made up of players who are acclimatised in Dubai. Was this an important factor for your first match?
Yeah, look, it was so important to get the boys there early, and the boys that arrived earlier in great shape, and most of them will start the game.
A lot of those A-League-based players didn't get in until Monday and Tuesday, which is probably why they're starting on the bench, but we'll see them at some point. If you're just joining us, the starting 11 for the Socceroos, Matt Ryan in goal, and it looks like he's going to sign with Arsenal in a couple of weeks' time, Robbie, which is good news for Matt.
Fantastic, yeah. Gets him settled and signing for a big club. It's fantastic news.
Yeah.
And his goal, well, moving on from that, his goal now, and knowing Matty, that's exactly what he wanted, is to fight for the #1 spot.
Yeah, Karacic makes his Socceroos debut at right back. Deganek, McGowan, Bajic, Irvine, Holland, Mabil, Rustic, and also Boyle and Leckie up front. Just the balance of all of that, Boz, the wider players in particular. We do know why Graham Arnold likes to coach. It's utilise those areas, whether it be the fullbacks.
Yeah, he does, but we've seen in the qualifiers already, like I said, that those three have actually played quite close together, and they're going from in to out rather from the other way. I actually think that they will start perhaps a little bit wider. Because of the heat, and because normally if the conditions are okay, you can allow for both fullbacks to overlap. But I think today we'll see that fullbacks, if anything, underlap, and it's always easier to cover yourself on transition when teams are breaking against you if you lose the ball. If you've got fullbacks that underlap rather than overlap, it can leave you quite open. But Robbie mentioned before about the system that he enjoys the most in terms of the 2 pivots right in front as well. I expect us to have a lot of possession of the ball. But what I want to see is a little bit of imagination when we have got the ball, because when you come up against international defences, when they do have a low block and they're very, very disciplined, there's not a lot of room in between the lines. You've got to do something a little bit different in the last third. You can't just be mechanical in the last third. It's got to be something a little bit different to break some of the best defences down.
Aaron Moy has been involved so far. Having a look at games that we've played so far, he pops up here and there, but he's not involved there. In this phase, Robbie, but you imagine he comes back in for the next phase. He's over there in China. But going back to, does this mean much, the match against Kuwait already in this World Cup qualification?
Well, it does, because, I mean, it's a long time ago. So the two sides, in vastly different positions. Kuwait have the slight advantage because, as you both mentioned, they have played 5 games in the lead up to that. So that does give them an advantage in respect to cohesion, in respect to organisation. I mean, let's be honest, this team we've got tonight has never played together. So they're thrown together after 560 odd days with, okay, you got 13 of the players to acclimatise for a good period. But this is the type, these 4 games are the type of games that are ideal to start with. Because in spite of their preparation being better, really the better quality should be on our side. And the key in this kind of heat is to keep the ball. Quite simple. Keep the ball, keep possession, and be clever about the way you go about it.
Asked Robbie before about Matt Leckie. What's your take on Matt Leckie at the moment?
Well, look, for me, Matt Leckie is always a danger because of his speed. There's no doubt about that. I think in the past, in terms of the Australian national teams, I haven't seen much of him in Germany. But in terms of the Australian national teams, I think sometimes we've failed to utilise him in the correct manner. Sometimes I think, you know, we've built up a little bit too slowly and teams have got that opportunity to get back, like I said, and then it negates his speed a little bit because there's less room, not only between the lines, but especially in between the goalkeeper and the last line of defence. The way you've mentioned the team, we're going to have a look at the way it starts, is going to play up top, which will allow him, like I said, to basically stay up there and to force the rest of Kuwait's defence all the way back because they'll be concerned about his speed. But Robbie and I both have said about how important possession will be because of the heat. But when I was talking about before about imagination, I wouldn't mind seeing every now and then, whether it be Dejanek or Bahic or whoever it be from the back, or even Matt Ryan, who's got a really good kick, you know, out of his hands, hit one in behind, and just to test out to see how the Kuwaiti defence handles him. And just to basically to give an opportunity for Matthew Leckie as well. But he is a real danger, there's no doubt about that.
We're off to a quick break. Kickoff is around the corner from Kuwait. Live on Fox Sports, the Socceroos return to action. Welcome back. Look at that beautiful stadium in Kuwait. Unfortunately, not a soul in it apart from those who are allowed to be there because it's a closed-doors match given the COVID situation all around the world. It's a bubble. We're in a bubble here in the studio.
We certainly are in a bubble.
We're looking forward to being in this bubble and looking forward to these 4 matches starting in about 5 minutes' time with the Socceroos taking on Kuwait and finally returning to action after over 560 days without. Quick one on the 2 central midfielders about setting the tempo. What kind of tempo do you want to see set from James Holland and Jackson Irvine in those 2 defensive midfielders?
Look, I think it's staggered in some respects the way they're going to play the game because of the heat. And you know, people at home might be saying, "Oh, why do you keep mentioning the heat?" Well, it's a factor, and it's a reality. And there's the one thing we know is it suits them because it's their hometown. They're definitely more accustomed to playing in the heat than us. But when I say the 2 midfielders delivering that tempo, I think at times you're going to be patient and you're going to need to rest. But then you want, like Boz has said, if you're going to get that inventiveness in the front line, then they've got to know when to pass the ball quicker.
Yeah.
Ball speed, very important when you're attacking towards that front third.
Yeah, really got to accentuate the gears, Adam. You know, we talk about the gears, about going from first to second to third to, and fourth and fifth in that last third. But it's going to be so important coming back again, and people are going to say, yeah, the heat. But you know what? You try playing a game of football in 40 degrees Celsius and see how you feel after 15 minutes. So they're going to have their finger on the pulse of the actual game. So they're going to have to know if they're under pressure, okay, and then we start playing it out from, like, you know, from goal kicks. They have to keep it nice and slow. And they're going to have to take their cues off the front movement. If the front people are staying still, that actually is saying to you, I don't want the ball just yet. If they start doing their movements, then that means they want the ball and you play it to them. And then, you know, they've got to make sure from a defensive perspective, which will be so important, that they give a lot of cover to those 2 centre-backs. There's absolutely no problem with them, like I said to you, having a bit of imagination in that final third. But in terms of the break, which I think that the Kuwaitis will be very dangerous on, they've got to make sure at least one of them is always holding back.
Tip and score.
Tip and score. Well, I'll go Australia. I'm not sure what the score's going to be, but I'm definitely going for an Aussie win.
I'll go Australia 2-1.
2-1?
Yeah.
It's much closer than I would like.
Australia 4-0.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, gents.
Thank you very much.
Half time. So we're about set. The Socceroos return to action. Some familiar faces, some regulars, some new faces. as well. On the other side of the anthems, we'll have the commentary of Andy Harper and also Brenton Speed, but it's good to hear this again.
And now, the national anthem of Kuwait.
The Socceroos return to the international stage for the first time in 567 days. It is so great to see them back. Qatar is so close, only 730 k's down the road from here in Kuwait, but still so far away, as the Australia still have a minimum of 14 games to play to try and qualify for next year's World Cup. Our referee tonight from Japan, very familiar with Australian football, Junpei Aida. He was actually in charge of that famous game between the Victory and Liverpool at the MCG, and has also reffed Australian games before. Temperatures just dipped below 40 degrees in the last hour or so. Currently 38 here in Kuwait City as we tick down towards kickoff. Kuwait desperate to get that runner-up spot in this group, but they could go top tonight if they can upset the Aussies. There is the debutant, Fran Karacic for Australia. More on him soon. Al Ansari wins the toss for Kuwait, their most experienced campaigner in their starting 11 today. Let's check the team news for you. And it is a first ever appearance in Australian colours for Fran Karacic, who plays his football in Italy right now with Brescia in Serie B. It's a return to the international stage for both Ryan McGowan and James Holland. First time we've seen Holland since 2014, and it's a starting debut for Aiden Hrustic as well. Here's a look at the Kuwaiti lineup, and the youngsters up top are the danger men, Shabab Al-Khaldi and Bandar Al-Salama. Just 18 years of age. The number 9, there he is on screen, scored 6 goals in the championship round to help Al Arabi to the title for the first time in 19 years in the Kuwaiti Premier League. Away we go. Australia back in action again for the first time since 2019, that 1-0 win over Jordan in a World Cup qualifier. And an early touch coming up for the debutant here, Fran Karacic, right on the front foot, finding Awa Mobile tucked in, and Australia have an early corner. Andy Harper.
Yeah, g'day Speedy, isn't it great to be watching the The men's national team back in the swing of things. Very important games to secure safe passage to the next round of qualifying in this severely affected COVID time in which we live.
Set-piece delivery, a feature of Hrustic's game. 3 assists for him. Off the bench against Chinese Taipei in a 7-1 win. Lifted in towards Leckie, who scored 2 against Kuwait last time he played them. And he's on the scoreboard early here, wearing the captain's armband again, Matthew Leckie. Looking for a new club in 2021. And this is a great way to start. The goalkeeper didn't stand a chance. Pinpoint header from the skipper.
Well, unbelievable start for Australia. It's very poor defending. Matthew Leckie is an outstanding player and he's very powerful in the air, but it's relatively unchallenged. Keeper, it was a looping ball. He decided not to come for it. I'll go for. And Leckie rises virtually unchallenged to give Australia a great start here in these extremely difficult conditions, and a very positive start in the lead-up to make a statement, the Socceroos. They put their foot down and attacked with the very first opportunity, and seemingly have caught Kuwait unawares.
That's what their coach, Andres Carrasco, was stressing. Wanted to absorb the early onslaught from Australia and then hope the heat could slow the favourites down. But it's the Socceroos on top in the opening minutes here. Quite remarkable. The start from Leckie and co. Took a long time to break back into that Hertha Berlin lineup. Matthew Leckie this season, 3 of his 5 starts for the campaign came last month. Helped them avoid relegation, but is now looking for a new club. Might just return to the A-League, and whichever club can land him will land a star. There's the 2 men. Pitting wits, used to being in different dugouts for Sydney derbies in years gone by. Andres Carrasco, the former Wanderers assistant to Tony Popovich. Of course, Graham Arnold, the former Sydney FC boss. Karacic whipping it in for Leckie again, and another header. They can't get near him. Australia's number 7.
Well, I'm not quite sure if this is to Coach Carrasco's plan, but their defensive strategy seems to be stand and watch at the moment. Useful delivery from Karacic. Leckie not controlling the header, but again it was uncontested. Slightly behind him made it that little bit more difficult.
Australia picking up where they left off, a chance to make it 5 straight wins for the first time in a decade, if they can claim all 3 points tonight in Group B. Also the chance for 4 straight wins outside of Australia for the first time since they switched confederations from Oceania to Asia. And Kuwait hit back. Karacic heavily involved early on. Bounced away from Banda. Made the switch to Italy in January, did Karacic. Got a good run of games in Serie B. Here they come again, Australia, and Boyle with the shot scrambled towards Salman Abdul Ghafour. Not the connection he was after. It's opened up here for the Blue Wave to surge forward for the first time. Looking a little ominous, and the shot's just wide of Matty Ryan's goal. That's the threat they possess. Fawaz Al-Otaibi letting fly.
Well, it's a good strike from Fawaz, and they attacked with numbers. The midfielders struggling to get back for Australia, and Fawaz deciding to strike early. It's a good tactic in that situation, and Matty Ryan not troubled, but keeping a very, very watchful eye on that shot from Fawaz as it slung in.
Graham Arnold barking out some instructions here. Game played behind closed doors. They were hoping to have some fans in here, but 1,345 new cases in Kuwait yesterday. 13,000 active cases as well, so fans told to stay at home. Al-Khalaf looking long. There's McGowan back in the starting lineup for the first time since the 2017 Confederations Cup, and the ref spotted a little handball there against the Sydney FC defender, who's one of the surprise selections in this starting 11. Trent Sainsbury unavailable due to back stiffness today.
It is unusual too. Harry Souttar has been doing so well for Stoke in the championship and receiving rave reviews.
Quick feet here.
And because the A-League players were short on acclimatisation, which is thoroughly understandable. So it is surprising, but great for McGowan that he gets another start.
Corner given up by Karacic. He's had an Australian passport his entire life, but yet to head down under, where his grandfather lived for a long time and his dad was born. We'll get to Australia at some stage, no doubt, when the Socceroos can host some games in the future. Corner whipped in, Ryan elects to punch. Potential for a counter-attack, but Boyle is upended by Fawaz. Great to see Martin Boyle back as a starter again for the first time since before that Asian Cup, when he picked up that injury that kept him out of that tournament.
Well, he burst onto the scene for an Aussie. It was one of those Martin Who type stories, and it was up at Suncorp Stadium, wasn't it? It was just an amazing debut performance.
Leckie not giving up the chase here, just able to keep it in.
But injured soon after was Martin Boyle. Looks like he's beefed up just a fraction on recovery, and then this impressive resumption to football. Had a good season with Hibs. And of course, he's now teammate with Jackson Irvine.
Yeah, career best 12 goals this past season for Martin Boyle. Could be on the move as well in the off-season. There's a £500,000 buyout clause that has caught the eye of rival clubs. Could be a certain Ange Postecoglou looking at him. Who knows? As Ryan outside of his own area. How about that for a touch from the Arsenal shot stopper, who was on loan with them this season from Brighton. Hopes to make that move officially permanent in the near future. Not sure how many goalkeepers there are in world football who would have chested in that situation, but he plays with confidence that is great to see.
Oh, an increasing number, I'd say, Speedy, but there is, Matt Ryan does have that special confidence with the ball. Look forward to him starting to assume dead ball duties in attack for Australia. That'll be the next development. Great touch from Karacic.
Earns the corner. Al-Khalaf got ball and a bit of man, according to Australia's new right back, who was a late cut from that World Cup squad, but Von Marwijk went with Josh Risdon, who played every game at the 2018 World Cup, and Karacic was one of the three that dropped out of that extended squad on the eve of Russia 2018. Another in-swinger from Hrustic, awkward, and Irvine threw his boot at it. Caught ball and plenty of man, and the referee says that's a free kick against Irvine.
It looks like he caught ball and multiple men. But again, a dangerous situation for Kuwait. It's not really lining the ball up, the defenders not attacking the ball. Fahad let the ball go past him on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Good win from Holland. Playing for the free kick and not getting it. Australia. And here's Ryan outside of his box again, able to retreat and get it in his hands this time.
The other factor, the difficult factor, of course, we should make 10 minutes in. People haven't assessed it for themselves, is the difficulty of the pitch. Well, the weather's one thing, but the pitch is a little bit of a bog, and all the matches in this group are going to be played at this pitch. So by the end of this hub qualification series, goodness knows what the playing state of things is going to be. But it's very, very bobbly.
And Nepal beat Chinese Taipei 2-0 earlier. The other game in this group today. Jordan had the day off. James Holland done wonderful things in Austria with Lask in the past few seasons, getting great experience on that European stage in the Europa League against some big clubs. Here's Bajic getting forward, cutting it back into a nice spot. Leckie got on the end of things again in the middle, and the referee says corner.
Well, nipping in nicely there, Matt Leckie. Again, catching the central defence, Khaled and Fahed of Kuwait, very, very flat-footed.
Hasn't quite got his delivery right yet. Hrustic dealt with by Kuwait that time. Mobiles wanted to go back to the corner taker. Had to retreat to Bajic instead. And Mobile, 40-odd games for him with Midtjylland this season, including in the UEFA Champions League when he scored a couple of goals against Ajax and Young Boys, played against Liverpool home and away. Living out a childhood dream, Awa Mobile this season. Clever, let it run to Leckie, who didn't complain, teammates did. Went straight back to work, and now Hrustic playing in that number 10 role. Scorer in the Bundesliga recently. Clever step inside by Boyle, and the strike almost snuck in at that near post. Had Salman in goal scrambling.
Good sharp play from Martin Boyle. The ball over towards him from Hrustic was inviting for the Kuwait defence, but again, no one could really line it up. Hamed on this occasion misread the line of it. Martin Boyle outsmarted him and got a decent shot on towards goal.
Another tidy win in midfield from Holland. Keeps Australia right on the front foot. In front thanks to Matt Leckie's early header. It did come in the opening minute. Good tussle between Mobile and Al-Khalaf. In the end, the numbers won out. Brings composure in midfield as Fahad Al Ansari, 34 years young, closing in on 100 caps for his country, the number 11. Won 5 league titles domestically with Al Qadsiya and has played abroad in both Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Not many of his teammates today have had that opportunity yet. Milos Degenek collecting silverware season in, season out in Serbia. The club he supported as a boy. Space here for Hrustic, who plays in Awa Mobile, scored on his debut against Kuwait. And this time there was a blocker in the road, Al-Khalaf.
Nice attack. Really sharp turn from Martin Boyle to open up the field, and Hayden Rustic playing in the centre, attacking role, received and fed. Arwema Bill couldn't quite find the answer. Arwell, such an exciting player. And it's another corner for Kuwait to defend, and they haven't been overly convincing from these situations.
More pressure in and around that 6-yard box this time. The referee wants to get on top of. Teenager Banda told what he can and cannot do. Got the assignment on Karacic in the middle. Krustic delivers deep. They just got there in time. It was Boyle arriving late. And Alfanini picked up that assignment just in time.
That was better defending. He was looming dangerously, Martin Ball, wasn't he?
Here's Irvine. Baich. Little 1-2 is on for Boyle. It's opened up big time here for Australia's left back. And the deflection could have gone anywhere. There was no one at the back post, and Baich wants to know why.
Easy. Come back out. Come out. Come out. Oh, yep.
Tight window there for Holland to try and drop it over the top for Karacic. Graham Arnold loving the fact there's no crowd, no intimidation factor, and he can get his message across.
Beautiful 1-2. And Aziz just couldn't find an answer at the end. Deflected by the goalkeeper over to that vacant second post area.
There is that space in midfield for Kuwait at times. In behind, important touch off McGowan, it appeared.
Really important touch, Speedy. Because front half of the field, Kuwait can play. That's where they do their best work. The back half of the field is just such a chore for them. But if they can get a bit of space, they're very gifted players, typically, with great attacking instincts. It's a really important, I think it's just a stud in it there from McGowan, really important.
Yeah, it helped accelerate the ball away from Al-Khaldi, who is the rising star of Kuwaiti football, 22 years of age, scored on debut against Chinese Taipei, backed it up with another goal recently against Lebanon. McGowan taking the game on. That last touch got away from him, so he's out of position. Irvine jumped in to win it back for Australia. And now the set piece that Kuwait take issue with.
He doesn't make that touch. McGowan. And Al-Khaldi is in. Ryan coming out bravely, as usual. Now Aaron Moy tonight, been left out of this squad. And normally it would be he hovering over set pieces like this.
Scored a splendid goal in general play last time these teams met in that 3-0 win, also in this city back in 2019. This game would have been hosted in Perth if COVID hadn't come along. Here we are in hub life in Kuwait City, and Krustic has taken ownership. And the deflection made it awkward for the goalkeeper, who's grateful to see it land on the top of the net. Aiden Hrustic that close to his first international goal. Recently scored his first Bundesliga goal for Eintracht Frankfurt against Mainz while lying on his backside last month. It was a splendid improvised finish with the outside of his left boot. Now he'll use the inside to whip it in again. The Aussies just getting their shape back. I've seen Matty Ryan wear that armband before, but Matt Leckie gets the nod again tonight. Always a talking point in Australian sport, who gets the nod as captain. I wonder if they'll be sharing that around throughout this tournament, those two. Certainly a good luck charm for Matt Leckie when he takes on Kuwait. 2 international braces. One when he wore the armband against them in 2019. The other came against the Czech Republic under von Marwijk in that amazing 4-0 romp. Hrustic. Australia playing the possession game. Karacic has looked tidy on debut. Hrustic gliding in, playing for the penalty and earns it. Light on his feet. Aiden Hrustic. Kuwait complain, but the spot kick will stand. There's no VAR here in Kuwait City. And look out, yellow card. It could have been worse for the teenager who has to learn his lesson there. You can't manhandle referees.
No, well, Aiden Hrustic turned away from this sort of situation about 15 seconds before. And then when he gets a second opportunity to run at the defenders, he does it with really light feet. The ref has seen enough contact there to award the spot kick. Not quite sure how it would have survived a review, but I'm happy not to have one, to be honest with you. It's great to have VAR-free football for a slight change. And it's Martin Boyle who's started the game very, very well, stepping up to assume responsibility.
Well, those replays showed why Kuwait were furious. Looked like there was very little touch, if any at all, as Hrustic went down. But he earned the spot kick that Martin Boyle will take in search of his 3rd international goal. Martin Boyle has a glance and the keeper keeps it out. Here comes Jackson Irvine to smash it home, and it is Australia 2, Kuwait 0. And the 2 Hibs teammates worked it out in the end.
Well, Abdul Ghaffur saves really well to his left-hand side, but it's the old Hibs 1-2 to make it 2 for Australia. Jackson Irvine swooping to thrash the ball home to double Australia's lead.
And the goalkeeper entitled to ask where his teammates were. It was all Australian shirts arriving to pick up the scraps after Boyle's spot kick was saved. Goal number 6 at international level for Jackson Irvine, who joined Hibs in January after being in limbo in clubland for a while after leaving Hull City. Interesting to see where he plays next season. Big fan of Ange Postecoglou. Jackson Irvine, his comments on Ange have been going viral recently. Ange, of course, poised to get the job at Celtic, and Jackson Irvine knows the Scottish Premier League so well. Watch this space, potentially. There's Hrustic The way he earned that spot kick will be spoken about at half-time, no doubt. With the boys back in the studio. Very similar to the last meeting, Australia with early goals in the first half. Had 3 before half-time, and that's the way it stayed. Boyle able to link up with Irvine again. They've formed a good combination at club level. Really enjoy playing alongside one another. And Bajic just into the back of Al Atabi. Confirmation of that booking for Banda Al Salama. Debuted in that 1-0 loss to Saudi Arabia recently, the teenager. (1.90 m) tall is the number 11, Al Ansari. Didn't get to him. Al Dafiri able to recycle. Really impressive opening half hour from the Socceroos after returning from the international wilderness. A lot of teams in this part of the world have been able to play internationals. Offside flag goes up against Al Khaldi as those two youngsters look to combine. An eagle-eyed spot by the assistant on the far side. Suke Takebe. Stitch. Irvine, clever. This is classy. And poked wide by Boyle. He doesn't have his shooting boots on tonight. There's that combination again of the Hibs boys.
Well, the first problem, well, the first of many problems for Kuwait is that the ball from Australia's midfield out to either wing is finding a completely vacant fullback spot from a Kuwait viewpoint. They've got so much time to set up their attack. Rustich has been dangerous, and then Boyle in general play has been dangerous, but frustrated in front of goal so far tonight, Martin Ball. Great attack from Australia.
Beautifully teed up by Jackson Irvine to slide it through. And Boyle went toe poke. Martin Boyle would have debuted against Kuwait in Graham Arnold's first game in charge, a friendly that the Socceroos arranged after that 2018 World Cup, but didn't have his passport yet. He was in training camp that week. As Karacic delivers, Leckie brings it down. He's got time. A little more time than that.
Well, there's the weakness again for Kuwait. Karacic played in again behind the defence. It's just a shocking alignment from Kuwait. Really, and it's been happening for the opening half hour repeatedly. Mubarak on that occasion could only stick a leg out, and Matt Leckie, for his part, could just swing his left leg, couldn't make the contact required. It's an escape from Kuwait.
Time for a drinks break. Half an hour in. Matthew Leckie does have his 12th international goal. Could have made it another brace. As many, well, second in back-to-back games against Kuwait if he'd thrashed that one home. Face masks being worn by the coaching staff of the Socceroos, who'll be delighted with the opening half hour here.
Yeah, they should be. They've totally dominated. They've been working hard mainly because of the conditions. They haven't been had to work that hard to get around Kuwait. It's been a very generous performance in that sense from Kuwait. It's a great header from Matt Leckie to start things off inside a minute. Great leap, non-existing defending. Rustic's having a field day. Won the penalty, however controversially it might be, but the ref saw it, bought it, awarded it. Abdul Ghafour does well from the save, but Jackson Irvine on the follow-up to make it 2-0 summarises the scoring. Australia probably, as a better reflection, might be 3 up. They've been utterly dominant here, the Socceroos.
A lot of A-League faces in the stands there. Late arrivals, the likes of Ryan Grant and Mitch Duke. But Ryan McGowan also arrived late, but was thrust into the starting 11. That opening goal tonight from Matt Leckie came 55 seconds in officially. A dream start in Australia's return to World Cup qualifying. Group winners go through to the next stage automatically, and it becomes more difficult, of course. I want to finish top 2 in those 6-team groups to guarantee qualification for Qatar 2022. Next year, late next year. Remarkable how quickly that will come around, and so many international fixtures to look forward to between then and now. Space on that right-hand side, and Al Hansari has seen it. Page stood up. Al Hajri lost his footing. Boyle almost spun out of traffic with possession. Al Defiri looking for options. Bandar, heavy touch, allowed Hrustic to nick it away. Did he play it out off his opponent? No, he did not. Corner given. A test for Australia set up defensively from these set pieces. Man goes down. Referee tells him to get up. That was Bandar looking for a spot kick of his own. Again, the long-range strike doesn't test Matty Ryan. That time it was Al Fanini.
Next you. Yeah.
107 spots between these teams in the FIFA rankings. Australia 41. Kuwait just inside the top 150. That golf in class has been on display in this first half. Little nibble from Bajic on Bandar, prompting the whistle. Kuwait's record against the Socceroos in this country, very good. 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. Australia looking to push in front on that ledger here tonight. Al Defiri. Holland with a handful of shirt, gets a little warning from the referee. First Socceroos appearance for Holland since 2014 when he came off the bench in that 0-0 against the UAE. In the last 2 seasons in Austria with Lask, 5 goals and 13 assists. Even he was startled when he saw that assist number, particularly last season
Well, he's made a great career for himself in Austria. And there was a time when James was looking to get out of Austria and go to another place in Europe, and the doors weren't opening, so he went back from whence he'd come. And he's really found his place there. Why argue with it? Why fight it? I've settled in here. I'm known well, respected well in the league. He's built himself a fantastic career in Austria. And now this recall to the national team, a huge source of pride for him. He's anchoring that midfield very diligently. Actually, one of the more interesting and impressive things about the Socceroos' performance so far is a determination to stare the heat down and not let it affect. We're going to play up the field. We're going to play as aggressively as we can. We're not just sitting back and stroking the ball around to kill the game. Certainly didn't start the game that way, at least, and they've earned their advantage accordingly.
Graham Arnold made the point that they're not mentioning that word. Heat is banned in the Australian camp during this period.
And the only way you can turn a mantra into actuality is to insist that the players go and play with speed, to play proactively. Otherwise, they are weasel words, and you can just see with their willingness of fullbacks pushing forward, the willingness to play forward, Kuwait's complete inability to read the situation, seemingly at this point, is a real triumph for Australia in these difficult conditions. They might want to talk about it, but we'll do so on their behalf.
Clever header back inboard from Al-Khaldi, but his teammates didn't do anything with it. Andres Carrasco offers some advice. The Spaniard in charge of Kuwait. Karacic tried to get it to Boyle, who can't be offside from a throw-in, of course. Been a nearly game so far for the Scottish-born Australian international. Qualified to play for the Socceroos, courtesy of his dad, Graham.
Even there, look how high the Australians were playing to force error from Kuwait.
Good flick on, big chance here, and wide from Bajic. Again, Jackson Irvine making things happen with the flick on.
And again, as a left fullback, look at where Aziz Bajic is starting this attack, edge of the D. And should have made it 3 for Australia, really. Not a completely straightforward chance, but he attacked it with purpose. He had a good side at it. Unimpeded approach to the ball. Very frustrated would Aziz be that he couldn't capitalise there. But again, that's Australia's left fullback, utterly unmarked on the edge of the D.
Lovely rehearsed move, though, from the Aussies. They've had a long time in that camp in the UAE. A lot of these players were the first into camp. And they've worked on a few things, and it's showing tonight.
Yeah, it's been a very polished performance. Matt Leckie's opening goal came inside the first minute. It's almost as though Kuwait have been resigned to a losing fate from kickoff. And Australia have reinforced that point.
Socceroos only just own the overall head-to-head, 6 wins to 5 against Kuwait, who were the champions of Asia back in 1980. 10 times Gulf Cup champions. Leckie tried to hook it to his own advantage or that of Mobiles. Ball out. Mobiles offside by about 5 metres, so it was half-hearted in going for it. Early service here for Banda. Bajic again. Played 34 games in the Turkish Super League this season with Kayserispor. Helped them avoid relegation. He's been one of Australia's best so far. The left back who wants it here from Boyle. Just eluded Hrustic. Fend off from Holland. Got rid of his direct opponent. Karacic, clever movement off the ball. Mobile worked it beautifully with Fran Karacic inside the area, teeing up Irvine. And now Leckie will make room for the shot. Mobile, deflection found him. And good defending in the end from Al-Khalaf. Another nearly moment from the boys in green and gold.
Well played. Brilliant, boys.
Graham Arnold liked the patience that Australia showed there, passing inside the box.
Combinations are going well. Yeah. Combinations are going really well. Just got a little bit stuck, the ball in the penalty area that last attack, but there was a lot of congestion.
Great distance in the throw again from Karacic. Offside flag up against the Socceroos. Superb debut so far from Fran Karacic. Of course, Ryan Grant has had a mortgage on that right back role since Graham Arnold took over. Josh Risdon was in that position at the last World Cup, but Karacic looks a real contender for that spot.
Yeah, he does. He does. I mean, it's a great, in one sense, it's a great game to debut in. A dominant team performance. And down the flanks, Australia have been making really good passage. So great for Karacic to be able to debut in that environment, and he's taken the opportunity extremely well.
He's got an effortless long throw in him, which is always a handy weapon.
Sure is. I'm sure Ryan Grant's got the same thing in his arsenal.
Not sure whether the referee gave the handball against Degenek. Don't think he did. I think he gave the foul against Bajic into the back of his opponent. Haven't been afraid to shoot from long range. Long way out to test the goalkeeper of Matty Ryan's quality. They worked it out in the end, but allowed the blocker to get there, and the spin has bamboozled Al-Khalaf only briefly. Have to execute that kind of variation from the set piece on this pitch, perhaps.
Oh, it is when you trip over.
Al-Dafiri. Al-Rashidi. Al-Khalaf. Test for Australia's shape. Setting up their blocks. Nice movement. Kuwait's best move here. Al-Khaldi onside. And James Holland getting his foot in the right spot. Blocking off that passing lane and finding Mobile. Kuwait looking to finish this first half with a bang. Had the drinks break, so 3 minutes being added on here, and it's opening up again. Lovely little 1-2, but Matt Ryan out to smother as Al-Fanini's eyes were lighting up.
And maybe as the Socceroos' eyes are starting to look to the sheds for half-time, but there's the big hope for Kuwait. There's a little bit of momentum in the front part of the field. That's where they like to play their football. And it's certainly where they do their best work. Defending their goal, not a forte.
Here he is again. Alfanini showed too much to Deganek. That clearance shows what Andy Harper is on about. Australia looking for half-time and a breather.
Of course, there's the 5 subs applicable in these World Cup qualifiers, as is the case now, or for the time being, in club football around the world. Those leagues which want to employ that, it's certainly for the World Cup qualifiers, what we've seen in the A-League, 3 subs windows, not including half-time. To make 5 subs, you can change half your team. It's a big factor in these conditions.
Leckie just dropped off to play link-up man this time. Mobile wide, and here comes the cavalry in the middle. Deflection just took it away from Rustic. Tries to turn the corner, did so stylishly. And the referee was trying to play an advantage. Didn't really accrue. Jackson Irvine really proactive with his play in this first half. It's been dynamite, always looking for Boyle. And now Bajic across the face. That was an important clearance. Mobile was lurking, if not for Al Rashidi's intervention.
And on a rare occasion, Matt Leckie didn't zero in on that near post, which is where Aziz Bajic delivered the ball. It was a good cross, nicely worked. In front of the defenders, right on the spot there. Matt Leckie puts his hands up and says, yep, Aziz, that was the one, I just didn't go.
Australia going within swingers from either side. Good looking shape about this one, and Leckie loomed large again. They'll get one last crack before half-time. Could have had a first half hat-trick. That's what Matt Leckie is thinking. Here's the variation. Rustic, little 1-2, plenty of space here. Is there time for one last corner before the break? No time to take it, which will upset Graham Arnold a little, you'd imagine. But the Japanese referee says, time's up. And for a first-up performance, it has been superb from Australia. After all that time away from the international stage, they return in such impressive fashion. It's Australia 2, Kuwait 0 at the break.
It's all gone really well for Graham Arnold and the Socceroos. Back in a moment with Robbie Slater and Mark Bosnich to analyse that first half in Kuwait. Back soon. Welcome back to our live coverage of the Socceroos World Cup qualification process. Second round, and it finally resumes. It took 560-odd days to restart. 55-odd seconds for Australia to take the lead. What a brilliant start. Matt Leckie with the opening goal. Jackson Irvine with the second. Not so brilliant the penalty, but anyway, it was a good save and well put away. But overall, Mark Bosnich, Robbie Slater, what do we think?
Excellent first half. Now, a lot of people turn around and say, well, yeah, you're only playing Kuwait. You know what? You can only beat who's in front of you. I thought they were bright. They played at a decent pace considering the heat, and we spoke about that beforehand. Huddersfield was absolutely fantastic to watch. There's no doubt about that. They started off on the front foot, got an absolutely crucial early goal, and just dominated the whole, pretty much the whole half. It was really excellent. It was a joy to watch.
Yep, 2-0 could have been anything really. They're going 2-0 ahead, but could have had so many more. And all the players done their jobs. They looked sharp. Totally dominated against what you'd have seen. We talked about Kuwait being much better prepared, having 5 games before this. They're playing at home, but they look so disorganised. But maybe we put that down to the quality of Australia's play, the rotations. Bozza was right. Mobile and Boyle played in the pockets to allow the fullbacks to get forward, and it was they completely control the football in this game.
Well, they've just got that muddled up. I mean, they've got an attacking midfielder there as a centre-back from the second phase of a set piece.
Yeah, OK, but listen, there's one thing that's been quite evident since I've been watching Asian football, since I've been back in the country, is that we are as good as anyone in the air in Asia, and I don't think we utilise it enough, and that's another sort of point in that, in terms of evidence of that. Because, like I said, in terms of aerial strength, we're as good as anyone.
Haven't heard that in a while. Back
in the country.
It's been here for quite some time.
Since he's been back.
But
2008, by the way, if you're wondering.
I think if you look at if we can call it the Tim Cahill era, I mean, he really showed that as well. He dominated Asia with his head at times, and was quite extraordinary in all those qualifying Asian Cups. And Boz is right. We are very, and historically, Australia has always been very, very good in the air, and it's something we need to use.
Aiden Rustic, really like the look of this player. He's direct when he wants to be. He's a good decision maker. Wins a penalty here with a positive run.
Well, yeah, you spoke about everything but the most important thing, Adam, which is the fact that he is a player that can take on a man, and that is so important, especially in international football where like I said, the defences are so packed. It really does open up things. And, yeah, we got a little bit fortunate with the penalty. It was a decent save by the goalkeeper, but Jackson Irvine was the quickest to react, and just summed up the whole of the first half to Australia. That point, quickest to react. They looked as though, when I say they, I mean Australia, looked as though that they were the ones who had played 5 games previous. They looked really cohesive and looking forward to more in the second half.
There was only 2 times that I counted, Robbie, that Matty Ryan had to come out and cut out a pass. A couple of times it looked like the back four got a little square, but apart from that, it was complete control. Is that fair to say, in that first half?
100%, no doubt. When Australia had the ball, they always looked threatening. Kuwait had a couple of looks at it here and there, but Matty Ryan was a virtual spectator in that first half, and it was certainly the Kuwaiti keeper, Abdul Ghaffar, who was the much busier.
Yep.
And at the back, we were dominating the game, but I think when the ball did go up and Kuwait tried to attack, our defenders did very, very well as well. So, it's been a very good performance all round from the whole team.
Boyle and Mabil in particular, your thoughts on them in that first half, Bozza?
They were dangerous, and they were selfless with their running. They made sure they ran into good spaces to make sure that, hopefully for them, that what they're looking for, which was Lecky to be left one-on-one up front. They occupied the positions between the centre-back and full-backs very, very well of Kuwait, and that always makes it difficult for the opposition because obviously you don't know which one, who should pick up. If the centre-back comes a bit wider to you, there's a massive gap down the middle. There's that save you mentioned from Matty Ryan, who's been very neat and tidy in the work that he's had to do, and weren't scared to basically know, without even looking, that one of those fullbacks, whether it be Karacic on one side or Bahic on the other side, were going to be in that space. You saw a lot of the times, and that's a big key as well when you're playing at the highest level, to know where people are going to be, so you don't even have to look and just play it out there.
Let's play sub-lotto. Who do you want to see? Who do you want to see picked out their name by Graham Arnold to throw them on?
Well, for me, it doesn't really matter. We want to see them all. We're going to see them all in the next 3 games after this. So it's at this stage 2-0. I think Graham Arnold will want another goal, obviously, to make it safe, and then he can pretty much pick and choose what he wants.
Me, I'd like to see Ryan Grant, Jamie McLaren. You get a hatful here. Ken Dougal. 2 more. I'll say Economides and Denny Jeanreau. There you go.
Fair enough.
Well, I doubt if we'll see those, and I know that's what you'd like to see, but I think given that the A-League players arrived later, we might be less likely to see those kind of players.
Yeah, and left out of the squad altogether this morning. Metcalf, Redmayne, Rukovica, Sainsbury, a little bit of a niggle with his back, Brad Smith, Taggart, Gianu with a niggle as well, and Curtis Good. But yeah, we will see substitutes as Graham Arnold looks to rotate the squad, and hopefully more goals from the Socceroos at this magnificent stadium, where the Socceroos are 2 goals to the good at half-time against Kuwait. Back in a moment with the second half. Is there a better way to start your Friday morning than live Socceroos? How about that? That start from the Socceroos, Australia's national men's team back in action. We've got 3 more World Cup qualifiers to come in this little bubble scenario in Kuwait, but the first of the 4 has got off to the perfect start in many respects. 2-0 taking any nerves out of the equation, comfort, but things to build on, Robbie.
Yeah, look, I think that first goal that comes so early did settle any nerves, and of course there would have been nerves. In spite of being clear-cut favourites to win the matches we need to win in this bubble environment, but after such a long wait, I'm sure Graham Arnold and the staff as well were waiting to see what was happening, but Bozza thinks this is quite hilarious over here, so let's find out why.
No. Just when you're saying about nerves, I was just looking. I said, yes, there's a massive crowd in tonight, but obviously, Robbie's exactly right. And you know, it's actually good to have a little bit of nerves. I don't know if you can remember when you were playing. I can remember back sometimes when you didn't perhaps have your greatest of games, and you look back and you think, how were you in the dressing room? What did you? And you'll find a lot of times the fact that you were too relaxed. So it's good to have a little bit of that nervous energy.
The weather will be a factor going forward. You'd imagine that these players, tight turnarounds in between games, it's only a few more days until we play Chinese Taipei. The heavy squad rotation will come in. That's why he's gone with 31 players, but it can't be comfortable playing, even though it's now 11 o'clock at night over there. It's still 38 degrees.
To be fair,
they didn't make it look like it. Yeah, 100%. They made it look as though that was absolutely normal.
Because the amount of repeat efforts from all the players, and particularly the wide players who do a lot of running, the fullbacks. There was nothing wrong with their repeat efforts.
100%.
Obviously, very well prepared.
Yep.
It's warmest you played in. You play in conditions like this in the Middle East?
I think Confederations Cup in 1997, but that was around December time, I think, or something like that. So no, it wouldn't have been around this time, no.
Fair enough, gents. Look forward to the second half and the post-game analysis, which is coming up on the back of this second half. But for now, let's get back to Andy Harper and Brenton Speed.
Graham Arnold liked what he saw in that first half. No changes to Australia at the break here. Ryan Grant was among those out there warming up at half-time. Interesting to see how Arnie uses his bench in this second half with a maximum of 5 subs allowed. Potential debuts for Kenny Dougal and Riley McGree perhaps. Aiden Hrustic and the referee with a brief discussion. Big talking point was the way that Hrustic won that penalty that Australia eventually converted on the rebound through Jackson Irvine to make it 2. So Kuwait playing catch-up on their home patch, the state-of-the-art Jaber Al Ahmad International Stadium. Graham Arnold would have been asking for more of the same, wouldn't he, Andy?
I'd be very surprised if he didn't encourage the boys to even greater exertion. It was a very good first half. And made the resistance, which was not likely to be staunch, look even more slender. Just a couple of worries on counter-attack to keep an eye out for, but a very, very dominant first half from the Socceroos. And in preparation for this half and the 3 games to follow, I think you can rest assured that the coaching staff will be insisting on maintaining standards. And a big part of that is physically driving home the football match.
Holland trying to go straight down the middle. Australia looking to go 5 points clear at the top of Group B as they play their game in hand here tonight. Late challenge here, the referee wants to crack down on. Al Khalaf given a warning for what he did to Awa Mobile long after the ball had gone. Still hasn't rectified that captain's armband. Al Ansari at half-time. Upside down. Lecky letting it roll for the corner. Al-Rashidi thought he might have put it out off Lecky, but the set piece stands. Hrustic ready to take it quickly. Just his 4th appearance overall for the Socceroos, for Hrustic. That Variation didn't work out, snuffed out by Kuwait. McGowan, Leckie and Deganek among the targets in the middle. Rustich whips it in first time. It was awkward. They asked for handball. Al-Khaldi it was, guarding that near post. Bajic could have gone down the line to Martin Boyle, who's interested to work out why Bajic didn't go that way. Then it broke down on the right-hand side. And here's a look at that question of handball.
Oof. Well, they might have dodged one with VAR in the first half. They wouldn't have dodged this one, I don't think. So let's call that all square.
Might have gotten away with it. Thigh onto arm, perhaps.
No, that's gone arm at least simultaneously. And he's leapt at the ball. There's no challenge. There's no obscured view.
Andy Harper in the VAR centre, harsh, awards the spot kick, or recommends that the referee award the spot kick.
No, he doesn't. Just commenting on a bit of action. And look, Australia still pushing in hard. This will be pleasing, Graham Arnold. The players are responding.
Kuwait looking to find their feet again at international level after that FIFA ban for a couple of years that cost them the potential of World Cup qualification last time around and getting through to that final phase. And then, of course, an appearance at the 2019 Asian Cup as well. And they've got Boyle to contend with here. Kept it alive, did Boyle, but the pressure enough to force it out of play. Well played by Al-Hajri in the end.
Yeah, Boyle just couldn't quite break away, which was his instinct. He thought, in a lot of these circumstances, I'll get that extra yard on my defender, but Farhad did very, very well. It was a big unit. He chased the ball down and won the goal kick for his team.
One of several players from the Kuwait Sporting Club, the deposed champions of Kuwait this season after winning 4 consecutive league titles. Became the Manchester City of the Kuwait League, according to my man Hassan Al-Kabaz, who I was talking with earlier today. Gave me some great insights into Kuwaiti football. Money invested in that club to become the powerhouse, but Al Arabi hit back this season and claimed their first league title since the start of the century. Not only a TV pundit, football expert, but a marine engineer as well. He's the captain, Al Ansari. Played 3 games in the Qatar Stars League at the start of the year and then returned to Kuwait. Played with Al Wakra, who were really struggling in that league. One of those games finished up in an 8-0 defeat. Beale thought he might have got a high boot there, but it's play on for the Blue Wave. Al-Otaib left it behind. Karacic. Chance here for Australia to launch, but Irvine chopped down. More treatment required, so stop-start at the beginning of this second half.
It's the best way that Kuwait have to cope. Clear foul. Going to take as long as they can from restarts now. Milk the situation. Try to blunt the Australian weapon.
And they appear to be in a race with Jordan to get that all-important runner-up spot. Best 4 runners-up go through to the next phase of qualifying. So goal difference could be a factor between those two. If you can minimise the damage against the powerhouse, then it might go part of the way.
Clearly part of the thinking.
Australia's goal difference outstanding, of course. Conceded the 1 goal so far against Chinese Taipei. 7-1 the result on that occasion. 5-0 over Nepal. 3-0 in the first game against Kuwait. And 1-0 against Jordan the last time we saw them, when Adam Taggart popped up with the winner, found by Jackson Irvine on that occasion. Irvine plays in Bayage here, and Boyle keeps finding space. Bayage, quick feet. Irvine looks around saying, "Who, me?" as Al-Khaldi went down.
Well, get ready for this. Restarts are going to take forever. Players will be slow to their feet. Oh, there's a 0 foul on that from Jackson Irvine, and a lot of contact either way, really. Didn't look like.
If anything, he almost cops starts to his ankle, Jackson Irvine.
If anything, it's a foul on Jackson, that's true.
The hottest temperature anywhere in the world yesterday was in Kuwait, 50.5 degrees. About 120 k's from here. I'm told the saying goes that if you're on your way to hell, then come to Kuwait to warm up.
Is that from your man?
Yeah, my man told me that one.
Of course, being a marine engineer, he can just dip in the brine. He'll be fine.
Last time we saw McGowan in the Australian lineup was the 2017 Confederations Cup. Returns today with Sainsbury unavailable due to a back issue. Mobile making up ground in the middle. Leckie looks for him. Would have been offside had it gotten to Awa Mobile. Australia will settle for the corner.
Well, he's looked pretty sharp, Matt Leckie. I know the games he's had have come pretty recently, but over the course of the season, he hasn't really played a lot of football. And it's completely easy just to slip into gear. But he's done well, the skipper. The most senior Socceroo on the field today. 62, 63 caps. Next in line, Matt Ryan.
Just making sure the bleeding is stemmed for Al Dafiri. He works for the Justice Ministry here in Kuwait. All of these players are semi-pro. All have day jobs.
Some more time taken up while the ref escorted the blood-soaked mouth to the sideline and then just allowed to continue. Now I'll have a chat with the players. And what about some football, sir?
I think he made the gesture that he's going to add this time on. Awkward at that near post, which was guarded successfully. Boyle, after taking the corner, quickly back on side. Gowan can turn down the line if he wants to. Give gives Matty Ryan a rare touch. Last time these teams met, Australia led 3-0 at half-time. In the second half, Kuwait made some changes, including their veteran, the Caps record holder, and things changed. Matty Ryan was called into action. We haven't seen any changes from Carrasco yet, though.
No, he's a super player. But as each year passes and he stays in the national team, you just have to wonder how much effectiveness he can continue to bring. But Badir Al-Mutwai is the man. He's so often been the spark. He's played a couple of 100 times for his national team or thereabouts. Fabulous player, but could never be lured out of Kuwait. Footballers very happily coexist with other jobs, often in the public service.
Yeah, he's an officer in Parliament. The games record holder you refer to, Badir Al-Mutwai, 36 years of age, closing in on the world record.
Well, I think he's progressed out of the fire department. I think that's where we've remembered him from all
the
those
army,
years.
I think, yeah, as well.
No wonder he's tailor-made for the Parliament. Then he's working around every department.
That's the one! Yes!
Irvine picks the right pass again. Mobile is overlapping here. Krustic tried to play him in behind. Karacic followed up and went down too easily, according to the referee. Space in his right back position now if Kuwait can exploit it. And there is room down that sideline. Best chance for them in this second half, and they go down trying to earn a very meek and mild penalty, and Ryan McGowan says, is that the best you've got, to Al-Atabi?
And it's worthwhile just taking stock. That was clearly a foul on Karacic to me. The ref's just letting a few things go. Maybe he's been lulled into a different sense. The score at 2-0 with a dominant Australia, but one breakaway and one goal, and we've seen it before. Kuwait can turn on a dime. They can look hapless, stretched, disinterested, incapable. Somehow can stick in a game. A bounce of the ball goes their way, or a substitute is made, and a charge goes through the team, and they're a completely different proposition.
And that is the superstar you saw a moment ago. Badir Al-Mutwai not too far away for Kuwait. He'll be first cap off the rank. Easy read. Deganek's pass picked off. There's space in behind. What can Al-Khaldi do with it? Force wide, and Matt Ryan guarding his near post makes a super save.
Well, almost right on cue. Deganek with the intercepted pass. Then the big effort to get back. But at the near post, Matt Ryan is excellent to save off Al-Khaldi. You can see that by the time Matt has saved the ball, it's slightly behind him. It talks to the power of the shot from Al-Khaldi.
So the teenager Banda Al-Salama withdrawn, making this attacking change at the corner. Badir is on. He's the target here, and Awal Mobile had the assignment. Substitute will take the corner. Delivered deep. Brilliant by Al-Khaldi to hook it back. Men down in the box. Appeals for penalties fall on deaf ears, and Matt Leckie leads the counter-attack. Ball strikes his hand, though. That will bring it to an end. And the complaints continue. Khaled Ibrahim staying down. He was the one who went for the bicycle kick. Al Rashidi tried to buy a penalty. You get the sense they feel like they're owed one by the referee after the way Australia received their spot kick in the first half. Badir Al Mutwa is just 2 caps away now from the world record held by Egypt's Ahmed Hassan. And 184 caps. He's going for goal here. Saw Matt Ryan just drifting off his line. Not a bad idea. And now Graham Arnold will work his bench. And it is an international debut for Kenny Dougal. What about his week? The week of his life. Wembley hero with Blackpool on Sunday. International debut in Kuwait on Thursday. He is Socceroo number 608.
Unforgettable week.
Chris Economides coming on as well after returning from that ACL and performing wonders with the Perth Glory. And this has been one of the slower second halves. 20 minutes has ticked by since the start of this second half. We've had about 5 minutes of football.
Well, James Holland did a great job. He's returned to the team. Gets a chance to rest now, and Kenny Dougal gets to a tape score to cap off the week for him.
Economides straight into the action, earning this attacking set piece. Krustic, the left-footed option, as ever. And he goes for goal. Aiden Krustic sneaks it in for his first international goal. And it is one to celebrate. Pinpoint precision from the Eintracht Frankfurt man to make it Australia 3, Kuwait 0. The goalkeeper is stunned.
Well, it's a great hit from Krustic. It's not the friendliest of angles, it should be said. And the keeper looking rank ordinary in his dealing with it. But that's very possibly a reflection of the quality of the free kick as well. Maybe the goalkeeper thought it was going wide. He's given up on it. He shouldn't have. It was pinpoint from Krustic. What a goal.
Scores his first Bundesliga goal in May, and now his first international goal in June. And Australia's set-piece solution for the future, the 24-year-old, Melbourne-born to a Bosnian father and Romanian mum, counts Leroy Sane as one of his good mates, and also played alongside Arjen Robben at Groningen before heading to Germany as well. So he would have learned a few tricks off the Dutch superstar as well. Seen Arjen Robben produce that kind of finish before with his left boot. And Krustic has dished it up here Dougal now anchoring midfield for Australia. Stands out with that blonde hair. Bit of a late bloomer. 28 years of age, making his debut today. Degenek had a few awkward moments and not happy with the way he dealt with that one.
No, that one certainly didn't go to plan. From Degenek.
Part of the Invincibles this season with Red Star Belgrade. Won the league, 35 wins, 3 draws, no defeats, and then backed it up in the Serbian Cup against Partizan recently. Won that on penalties. Decent variation here. Snuffed out by Economides. There's no offside for Australia, and the half volley was a half chance for Fahad Al-Hajri. Economides making an impact. Here's Dougal as the subs combine with those fresh legs. Bajic towards that byline, hooking it in. Lecky had 2 to contend with in the middle. Bajic got his defender in the air. Economides defending again from Al-Hajri, the Kuwait Sporting Club right back. The role he hasn't played a lot of lately. Slotted in as a centre half in recent times, going back a few years to play in that position tonight. Comes another attacking weapon for Kuwait. Yusuf Nasser. Proved a handful last time these countries met. Again, Karacic well positioned to deal with the threat and now launches. Rare misplaced pass from Irvine. Dougal. On it back sharply for Australia. Lecky looking around. Here comes Economides. Krustic. What a buzz for him to produce a goal like that for his country. It's coached by Ange Postecoglou at under 11s, under 12s days at South Melbourne. Then gave him his international debut at the MCG against Brazil. That feels like a lifetime ago. Only his 3rd appearance for his country since then. McGowan. Dougal just providing an option. Really well worked by the Socceroos. All know where they need to be at certain phases of the game. Krustic tried to drop it over the top for Lecky. That's what Graham Arnold has been doing with these players on Zoom chats and catch-ups. It's finding out what kind of position they play for their club team, where they're going to be in certain situations, making sure they're going to be on the same page when they get to this stage. Look like everything's in sync tonight.
Again.
Making Kuwait chase shadows here. Almost a resigned look there from Al Dafiri. He gave up chasing the number 3. Let some others do it. Rustic just headed off by the captain. Badir. Al Khaldi trying to slide it through. Aid Al Rashidi, another of the substitutes, the number 7. Clever ball in behind, but just ran away from Boyle. Substitutes coming thick and fast in this second half. So Yusuf Nasser is on. Here comes Mitch Duke, a player that Graham Arnold knows so well, of course, from Central Coast Mariners days. His Wanderers side unable to play finals. Put up a good fight in Adelaide last night without Mitch Duke, who earns his 7th cap. Played in that most recent game against Jordan, 20 minutes off the bench. Matt Leckie, another goal as captain tonight, gets an early mark. What have you made of his performance, Matthew Leckie?
Great. Really impressed. Not an easy time in his career, but he's led his country well tonight. He got the start, perfect start for him and team. The opening goal inside the first minute settled whatever nerves might have been circulating. No, I thought he did a really good job.
Duke straight into the action, trying to flick it on. Irvine has been so hungry in midfield. Now Dougal. Switch it up towards Economides. Karacic just strolls back and gets in the passing lane and gets it back for Australia. He couldn't have been more impressive on his international debut. Former Croatia under-21s player that Ante Milicic scouted and found out that he'd be eligible for Australia. And here he is. Good win by Dougal. A look for the killer pass immediately. It was on for Duke as well.
He started well on debut too, as well, off the bench.
Time for another drinks break with 14 minutes of the 90 remaining. Australia well on their way to another 3 points, perfect in this phase of qualifying, as we'd all hope for, of course.
Yeah, there's been a couple of moments. Kuwait have had a couple of goal-scoring moments this evening, but you have to stop well short of saying Australia's been threatened. It's clearly a superior football team, very well organised, and most impressively tonight, intent on keeping the tempo up as best they can. Really good mentality with the team. "1-0 for Matt Leckie, just taking his leave. He might have had a couple of others too when you look at the chances post-game. Rustic wins the penalty, which Boyle cannot convert, but Jackson Irvine finishes it off. for 2-0, which took us to half-time, and then Rustic, who won the penalty for the second goal, now scores the third, his first international effort. Beautiful free kick. Well, I guess nearly 80 minutes in. This is not to be critical of the Socceroos at all, but their dominance hasn't resulted in general play goals, really. Matt Leckie scored pretty much from the kick-off, but since then it's been the penalty and the free kick, and they've played well enough. They've created chances, but they just haven't finished some of those off. And I'm sure the mini task from here on is to get a goal or two from general play.
Got some defending to do here. Kuwait outnumbered significantly in the attacking third. Kuwait did own the head-to-head against Australia when they turned up for the opening game of that 2015 Asian Cup and were belted 4-1, despite threatening to play party purpose when they scored the opening goal that night of the tournament, of course.
Well, that night was the real emergence of Masalongo, if you'll recall. He did become the player of the tournament by the end of it. Had a difficult start in that game and then burst through to be the decisive factor for Australia in turning it around.
Not part of this squad after a difficult campaign in the UK. Then Australia backed it up in Graham Arnold's first game as full-time boss. 4-0 triumph in a 2018 friendly when Kuwait were making their way back out of that FIFA ban. And then 3-0 and 3-0 in back-to-back World Cup qualifiers. Still time to add to it here this evening. McGowan, Bajic, Graham Arnold happy to slow things down. Socceroos acclimatised in the UAE where it's more humid. Andrew Clark, the fitness man, right-hand man of Graham Arnold, talked about getting ready to cope with the heat stress here in Kuwait when the players came into camp. The A-League players coming out of the Australian winter. Classy little flick on from Duke. And Boyle, chance to set up Economides in the middle. That was a very near thing for the Socceroos in search of a fourth.
Great touch from Mitch Duke. Nice run again from Boyle. Still pumping those legs. Economides was the intended recipient. Couldn't quite get the curl on the ball. Good Martin Boyle to put it exactly in the path of Chris Economides.
Playing really deep is the skipper. If they hadn't had that 2-year ban, he'd be up over 200 caps by now and be a clear leader. Top the game's record in world international football. Last touch off him, says the ref, for a goal kick.
And even so, at 36 years of age, he's clearly the best player.
If I give it to you.
And it's not the greatest crop of Kuwaiti players on show, but there is a mirror to the recent past when they were a very dangerous team on any particular occasion.
Twice been nominated for the Asian Player of the Year back in 2006 and 2010. Gives Matty Ryan a word of advice just to speed things up a little. It's quite ironic from a man who's slowed down this half to his pace. And another international debut for the kid from Gawler, the Scorpion King, Riley McGree. congratulations to him, becomes Socceroo number 609. The man robbed of the Pushkas for the goal of the year in 2018. This guy has produced the goal of the night, Aidan Hrustic.
Yeah, and played well. He's always caught the eye. Every indication he's going to get consolidated run in the team. Aaron Moy to come back into that discussion, of course. So Hrustic, a very, very good part of his personal football journey. And a lovely goal to cap things off here today.
Riley McGree goes into that number 10 role, looking to get involved here. The young man will be playing with Birmingham City until at least the end of this calendar year. That loan deal extended in the last couple of weeks. Another long-range effort that Matty Ryan can watch sail wide. Yusuf Nasser, the latest to try his luck.
Yes.
Of course, Graham Arnold in charge of the Olympic campaign next month in Japan, and wanted to get some young blood into this squad, and Riley McGree chief amongst that, the 22-year-old who will be part of that Olympic squad. Denny Genro also added to this squad, not featuring tonight. Economides across the face, and Superman style attempt at the back post. Couldn't quite get on the end of things. That was Martin Boyle, has thrown himself into everything tonight.
He has. Might have had should have had a goal. Didn't convert his penalty. Needed his Hibs teammate Jackson Irvine to finish that one off. But he's given good value again today, Martin Boyle.
Adair. Easy read for Irvine in midfield. Here is McGree. Used his right boot. Thread it through to Economides. That was a sensational first touch at this level for the former Adelaide United man. Bajic couldn't quite wrap his boot around it for Duke in the middle.
Here's Martin Boyle flying. It's just never quite there, was he?
Great to see fresh faces. 7 potential debutants came into this squad. Karacic, Dougal and McGree all making their debuts. Teganek got the decision that he was after. 30th cap tonight for him, the 27-year-old.
Dougal in on Mutwa, who made some noise about it. You can see a lot of the contact being that bad from Kenny Dougal.
Duke the target, but again that long throw bears some fruit from Karacic. Another corner that flicked out off the substitute Al Harvey. And just like Hrustic before him, Riley McGree takes over to swing it in on that left boot of his. Got some fresh ink from his time in the UK. McGree delivers. Tracked down by Economides. Bajic wanted it. Edge of the area. Irvine just slotting in between the two centre halves. Australia in no hurry. Job done tonight. Now there's some pressure being applied. Irvine asked a lot of Karacic. Dealt with it expertly. Economides tried to hook it around the corner. May have been beaten by a bobble. How does the referee see that one? Play on. Coming together as Boyle was manhandled. Yusuf Nasser, little 1-2. Left behind by Al-Khaldi. And the Socceroos finish with a flourish here. Some fresh legs in that attacking third, including this man, Mitch Duke. Boyle in the middle. Economides deeper than that. Bajic again. There if he wants him. Across the face, awkward for the goalkeeper. McGree took a swing, and then the save is made to keep out Economides' effort. And now Dougal. Well, if that was at Wembley, it would have gone in the top corner.
Good call. That's a really good cross from Aziz Bajic. He's hit a couple of good ones in today. He's missed a couple as well, but that was a really nice one. Good link with Chris Economides, who finished off the action with a thumping drive. Abdul Ghafour bashes the ball away happily with those fists of his, and then as it goes to the Blackpool hero from Wembley, he can't repeat the dose. Not quite as necessary at this point of this game as it was at Wembley a week ago in the promotion battle. With the points secured here, good performance from Australia.
He actually dropped down a division to play with Blackpool. Did Kenny Dougal, and now he's back up a division off to the championship after helping his team earn promotion against Lincoln City in the League One playoff. Might be able to go even higher than that in England in years to come. Didn't quite crack it at the A-League, so headed to Holland. Won silverware there with Sparta Rotterdam as well, so he's a winner, Kenny Dougal, the man on the ball now. See a lot more of him over the next 3 games, coming every 4 days here in Kuwait. Chinese Taipei next up on Tuesday morning, same time slot, and Nepal on the Saturday morning, 2 a.m. that one, and then Jordan to round it all off on the following Wednesday morning. All coming your way on Fox Sports and the ABC. So used to seeing Trent Sainsbury in that number 20 shirt for Australia. It's Economides tonight. Sainsbury should be available for the next game. I'd be surprised to see him a starter against Chinese Taipei.
Up on your side.
And that pressure and intensity from Australia remains. Not relaxing until that final whistle is blown.
Okay, okay. Respect. Okay. Okay, Ryan, let's go. I give you. Thank you.
Respect the buzzword from the referee, and Matt Ryan had an impromptu ball boy effort from his opponent there.
Hey, don't let it. Let's go.
Going 5 points clear in Group B. '60th cap tonight for Matty Ryan, takes him into the top 20 all time alongside John Kosmina and Stan Lazaridis now in equal 18th with 60 caps. Still just 29 years of age, Matt Ryan. How many will he wind up with? There's 3 other goalkeepers in this squad. Part of this squad of 31 in Kuwait. Lawrence Thomas, Andrew Redmayne and Danny Vukovic, the backup options. Apologies for the breakup in picture, a few gremlins in the satellite. And there goes the full-time whistle. The Socceroos make it 5 straight wins for the first time in a decade. 4 straight wins outside of Australia for the first time since the switch to Asia. Job done again against Kuwait. Same scoreline as earlier in this World Cup qualifying campaign. Jackson Irvine with a brilliant performance, capped with a goal in that first half showing after Matthew Leckie opened the scoring 55 seconds in, and Aiden Hrustic marked his starting debut with a super free kick that bamboozled Salman in the Kuwait goal. And at full time in Kuwait City, it is Australia 3, Kuwait 0.
Yeah, really good result and performance from the Socceroos to get things going again after over 560 days without a game. Robbie Slater and Mark Bosnich here for the post-game analysis. Hard to pick apart that one without saying very, very good.
100%, Adam. There's no doubt about that. We said that about the first half. I don't think the second half was as good as the first half, but I also do think that Kuwait were much better in the second half than they were in the first half. They were bright, they were breezy. A lot of people, like we said as well, will be watching this going, yeah, it is only against Kuwait. 100% correct, but you can only beat who's in front of you. And they beat them, and they beat them well.
Because we've sat here over the last decade, even more, Robbie, since the Socceroos have been in Asia. They play in the Middle East, and we sit here and go, that was a lot harder than it needed to be. That wasn't one of them.
No, that wasn't. I don't think the score reflects the true dominance of Australia. I think they could have had, the score could have been anything, could have been double. But the performance was good. Jackson Irvine was excellent in the middle of the park. Hrustic showed that he's a top-class player, and of course he's playing in the Bundesliga, and that shows. But Australia didn't have a poor performance or a poor player. Everyone did their job, and some of the players did and overextended that. I thought fullbacks were excellent in very, very hot conditions. Their repeat efforts up and down the touchline, both defensively and going forward. They were both excellent. And Bozza was right. Kuwait got marginally better in the second half. They had a couple of chances themselves. But Australia, as I said, could have had many more goals in this. And I think that's the thing that will please Graham Arnold is the style they played. They were aggressive, and there's more goals in them.
Yeah.
Did you like that nature of it, Bozza, the aggressive nature? And when we say aggressive in football, we don't mean you go out there and try and smash
people. No, you're on the front foot and you're looking to attack. Yeah, of course. And, you know, there'll be much bigger tests to come. We all know that. But like I said before, you can only beat who's in front of you. And this young boy here, Hrustic, he's really, really excited me. He's as exciting a player that I've seen for Australia for quite some time, no doubt about that.
He said that a bit this morning, no doubt about that. He's in no doubt this morning, was it? That's the main thing. Aiden Rustich, so a wide player like yourself, Robbie, you know a good one when you see one. He looks to have not only the ability to run at a player from outside to in, but even if he's in a tight area, he can make the right decision. And
yeah, he's good. And look, left-footed, and left-footed players, when they're this style, are always pleasing on the eye. And you know, he can play in a wide position, but he's also technically good enough to play in the pocket or in behind if he really wanted to. So, no, exciting prospect for Australia, and certainly we're going to see a lot more of him. Brilliant free kick. Look, you can question the goalkeeper there, Suleiman.
Question.
But it doesn't matter. It's gone in. Right. He's put it, and it did come off the inside of the post, so it was a very good technique on that. But it's not about that goal. It's about his overall performance.
Yeah, exactly.
And not only looking at his performance and putting the magnifying scope on it now, it's what possibilities are going to come forward when you, as you said, the games get tougher, because we know that going into the second phase, because we're going to get through this phase, we only need to win 2 games, that's 1 down. The second phase is going to be very, very challenging because in all likelihood, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be in the Middle East playing in a bubble because our international borders are not going to open. It's been stated till earliest next year, middle of next year. Now, the second phase of World Cup qualifiers have to take part a long time before that.
Start in September.
So in reality, once we get, you know, you're getting the Japans, the South Koreas, Saudi Arabias, Irans, Iraqs.
Robbie, do you think that they could possibly delay the World Cup?
Well, they did it with the Olympics. I don't think that's the goal, because I think things around the world, around the pandemic, are getting better. England's starting to open parts of Europe, so I think they'll be looking for it to definitely go ahead.
Let's have a look at the standings after that one. As Robbie mentioned, 2 games going in we needed to win. That's one of them, and it's a pretty picture, that particular page right now. Australia on top, 15 points from a possible 15. And a for and against of plus 18 as well. Goal difference of plus 18. Kuwait and Jordan, they'll be left to battle things out. And a reminder of our fixtures to come. Chinese Taipei on the morning of the 8th here, Nepal, and also Jordan. We're off to a quick break live here in the studio on Fox Sports, talking Socceroos, talking the Socceroos win. We'll have more of that right after this. Welcome back. Really good morning for the Socceroos on a number of fronts. Taking care of business. First game in a very, very long time. 3-0 over Kuwait, who argue that they were a little bit of stage fright in that first half in particular. The home side were a little better in the second. But happily as well, debuts for 3 players. A starting debut for Fran Karacic, and also Riley McGree off the bench, and Ken Dougal as well off the bench. So congratulations to all those players. And their families would be so proud of them this morning, waking up here in Australia. It's a huge achievement playing for Australia in any kind of sport. And Socceroos were proud of them, Matildas as well. We'll have more on the Matildas in a moment. Just in general, guys, how comfortable can you see this ride being, given what Robbie explained before the break? And we're basically going to go World Cup qualifiers September all the way through to March to try and get 10 games done in the second phase.
Oh, look, regardless of the fact of the pandemic, I always thought this is going to be very difficult. If we remember for 2014, under Holger Osiek, it only took a last-minute goal in the last game here at the Sydney Football Stadium, ANZ, Olympic I think Stadium, it was, Olympic Stadium.
Josh Kennedy.
Yeah, the header, to get us through. Last time we had to go through the playoff route. So I actually thought even before this pandemic it was going to be very, very difficult. The fact that we're going to have to play the majority of our games away from home, like all of them, like Robbie's made the point, and we're talking about our success rate in the Middle East, which Robbie says is approximately 30% of a win ratio, which hopefully will improve, obviously, after this first round of qualifying. All points to the fact that it's going to be very, very difficult. Obviously, the draw is going to play a huge part. You know, it's going to be a rough ride, Adam. There's no doubt. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and to make sure that we qualify once again for the World Cup.
Look, one of our things that have always been our strength is our home form in World Cup qualifying.
Unbeatable at home, pretty much.
Pretty much. And, you know, we're not going to have that. And so therein lies the task. And you have to think, and that's no disrespect to the team we have at the moment, which is building. And we just talked about Rustich. We're getting some exciting talent coming in. But even with arguably our greatest sides, you know, with the Vidukas, with the Kuhls, with the Cahills, Lucas Neils, Morey, all of them, and apologies for ones I haven't mentioned, we struggle in the Middle East with those teams. So that's the size of the task. Now, of course, it's not impossible, because the difference being in this respect is we're going to play all the games. So we're going to be in a bubble, so you'll be stationed there the whole time, so you're acclimatised. So you're not, you know, with those past campaigns, it's played home, then you're fly out quickly, get ready quickly, go back to your club. So
yeah, you remember those.
It's a little bit different
Japan, 28 hours
in
before
that
a game.
in that respect, it's going to be different. At least you'll be there.
Yep.
And that's it, coming in September, as you said. But it's going to be difficult because we take our home form away, and that's why I said the pandemic has been fantastic for our country. There is no doubt about that. And look, I'm getting your disease, no doubt about that. But the fact that the international borders, which has saved us to a large extent, well, that's what the experts say, the medical experts, but that harms us for international football, of course, and that's why we're not going to have no possibility of friendlies or home games.
We've got friendlies coming up with the Matildas as well, which is good. So
looking
we've got
forward to
Denmark and Sweden.
Denmark and Sweden, huge task for Tony Gustafsson and his squad. Much better looking squad, with all due respect to those that were there. The experience coming in is looking great for those two games. So we've got those live and exclusive here on Fox Sports. And the A-League as well, Boz. Unfortunately, Wellington can't qualify for the finals after last night, but MacArthur can get a home final.
That they can.
If a few things go right for them.
Correct, and they play against Wellington Phoenix tonight. And look, as we've seen with all the other teams, and we saw it with Western Sydney Wanderers last night, we saw it with Western United last Monday night, these teams that are, you know, out of the contention for the six have put in, you know, stellar efforts, and I'm sure Wellington will be no different tonight. And then tomorrow we have 3 games at them.
Robbie, Brisbane and Sydney.
Yeah, that's a big one in respect. If MacArthur get a win, Brisbane need a result against Sydney to get a home final. And, you know, Sydney, because those finals are coming quickly, they're starting next week, so there'll be no thought of taking it easy. So Sydney will be up there to take all the points, but Brisbane in pretty good form.
Yep, and then after that one, Central Coast themselves looking for a home final.
Well, if there's one that I want to get
a home final,
I think the Mariners deserve one. I mean, what they've done this season
is that because it's closer for you to drive?
Well, it's closer for me to drive. But, well, actually, no, MacArthur is, and certainly Sydney, but no, I just think it's been a fantastic, it's been the story of the season, the Mariners. 3 wooden spoons in a row. They're playing finals football. They've got it in their own hands. They're playing against Western United, and they're at home.
And what about Craig Deans as well?
Yeah, Craig Deans, it surprised me, especially after this fabulous win the other night against Central Coast Mariners. And it looks as though all the rumours are pointing towards Arthur Pappas, who's always, in my opinion, deserved his chances, no doubt about that. But it did surprise me with the story about Craig Deans. And Perth Glory, who, once again, coming back to this kind of, like I said, about Wellington, disappointed that they're out of contention. But, you know,
they've had a tough
we've
run,
seen all these teams, like I said, who have been out of contention, including Newcastle, Melbourne Victory.
Western United
the other night, like we said, put in real good performances.
So we're looking forward to all of that in the next couple of days. Robbie Slater, Mark Bosnich, enjoy your Friday.
Thank you very much, Adam.
It'll be a long Friday.
Nice unison there. Beautiful.
Did you like that? Without a doubt.
And thank you for your company as well. One last one from Mark Bosnich. Socceroos off and running again. Good performance in Kuwait. Very good result. And they're well on their way to qualifying with a fair amount of ease for this 3rd phase, the really tricky phase of World Cup qualifying. We'll see you in a couple more days for more Socceroos. But later tonight, for more A-League.